If I can just get a touch from him, if I can just touch him, if I can just have a tangible experience with him, I know that that's going to be where I'm going to get my healing. And so she did. And she took a risk when she did this, because I'm sure the people in the community knew what she was about, and they were trying to, the Levitical law had its purpose. But they were trying to make sure that she followed the rules, and they followed the rules too. So they probably would have wanted to stop her from reaching out to touch somebody.
Yes.
So she touched the hem of his garment, and I'm sure it was probably like a coming up from behind him. If I just get a little touch, if I get a little touch from him from behind, I'm going to get healed.
That's right.
And that's a pretty strong faith right there. And so she did. And when she did, the power of God came over the top of her.
Yep.
And she was. It says immediately her issue was dried up. And Jesus turned around. And now he's God. And God did make the Levitical law. And he could have said, "Who made me unclean?"
Yeah.
He said, "Who made me unclean?" He felt power go out of him. He felt power going to somebody else. But who touched me? And I'm sure that was scary. I had to talk to the manager of our work on Friday. And I'll tell you, I can preach in front of the superintendent of the network. I can preach in front of Kevin. I cannot preach in front of the Green River Assembly of God pastor. I fall apart. And I can't talk to the manager of the flag because I fall apart. I thought I was going to hyperventilate. It was rough. I was scared. I even told him, I said, "This is intimidating for me." But, But can you imagine what she'd be like when she has had the faith to reach out to who she knows is the Messiah, say, "Who touched me?" That would be scary. Somebody's calling me out. But she came in humility and she told him, "It was me. I touched you." And I just thought if I touched you, I could get healed. And he said, "Your faith has made you well. Go. You're better."
Yes.
That touch that she had made was what healed her. Now, what would have happened if the crowd would have been able to stop this woman from having a touch from God? Which brings me to the first point I have in this, is there's a lot of people roaming around this earth that have issues.
Yeah.
There's people at our work that have issues. There's people in our schools that have issues. There's people in our communities that have issues. There's people in here, so there's people that have issues. I have issues. My wife has issues. She doesn't know. We all have issues. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of people that have issues. There's a lot of people that need a touch from God. And there's some people that know they need a touch from God. And there's some people that don't quite get why they have issues or where they can go to get their issues relieved.
Amen.
But they need that gospel and they need that loving kindness. And us as a church, us as believers, what are we doing to make sure or to do the best that we can to help them get that touch that they need? That's what Summit Church is going to be about. Because I think there's too many churches around these days that, how many of you guys have heard somebody say, if I go to church, lightning is going to strike me. Or I don't belong in church. I don't fit with believers.
Yep.
I knew a pastor, and Pastor Kevin knew him too, that said, when I go to visit a church, I like to see how many cigarette butts there are in the parking lot. The more the merrier. And isn't that how we need to be? Because this is a hospital.
Yeah.
And this is where people need to come to find healing. This is where people need to come to find salvation. And are we too worried about making it a club? That was part of the issue in our little church that was up there. I'm not going to lie, there's nobody here that's going to know anybody that went there, but they had this problem. And I'm not going to let it be a problem.
Amen.
We're supposed to be the witnesses in the world. Acts 1:8 tells us that we're supposed to be witnesses. if we weren't supposed to do that, he'd just take us home when we got saved. There's a purpose for us to be here. And that's to make a difference in those that don't know who he is, and to grow those who do know who he is, and make them more complete, and help them to understand this message that we're supposed to go out into the communities in the Congo and China or whatever, but to reach the lost. That's our job as the church. And I don't want to start yelling because this isn't my church, but you know, we had a friend at the church that we went to for a while after we were in between ministry, and he came in the first time he came to Sunday school. He had the like super spiky hair, and he had his ears were like stretched out like this big around, and he was covered in tattoos, and I think every single lip, nose, ear, I mean, he looked like he fell into a tackle box. You know? But he came in, and as soon as he sat down to do Bible study with us, or have Bible study with us, and you started to listen to him and stuff, this was a man who knew the Lord. I mean, he was a believer. And he came for quite a while, you know, he's bringing his little kids, bringing his wife. She looked like she fell in a tackle box too. And they were accepted there, which was really cool. But I had made a statement one time, you know, I had actually saw him out hunting. And we ended up just hunting together since we were both alone. And we were talking about the church and stuff, and he had said that he had started when they moved to Green River going to a particular church there for a while because it lined up with how he felt in his doctrines. And he approached the pastor there about membership. And the pastor said, "Oh, I'm not sure membership is the route you need to take." And he said, "Why not?" "Well, you have tattoos and piercings. And we don't do that. You know, I mean, thank you for wearing a tie, but we don't do that in this church." Why is the church so caught up on that? I don't know, you know, but I mean, at our church, and I've told the pastors up in Marbleton and stuff that I'm not here to take the people in your church. You got yours. There's plenty more out there that need to go to church. I want them smelly. I want them messed up, I want them upset, I want them dirty, and I want them to come in their holy jeans with Metallica shirt or whatever they're into. Please come, because you're the ones that need to come to our church. You know? Now if we get some believers in there to come and support us, that's awesome. That's awesome. We need some help. But we need to start concentrating on those that aren't going to church. You know? It's not a club.
Amen.
It's a hospital. You know? You guys ever been to a hospital where everybody's well?
Yeah.
Not a very good hospital if we all go there well. If you go there and you're not sick, I mean, you don't have to worry about the doctor's abilities.
That's right.
You go there because you don't feel good. That's why you end up in a hospital. And that's what our church needs to be about. You know, is it because people are scared that that's going to mess up the church to have people like that? You know, I don't know. But